musical.
Hello everyone, this is Jay Michaels and we are off and running with playwright, producer, and director Jeffrey E. Milstein. He is here at the sumptuous Ripley Greer Studios. I haven't been here in such a long time. The place is like an event center now. Auditioning his latest play, Fort Dix, the musical, D-I-C-K-S. I'd like to introduce Jeffrey to you for a moment, and he'll give you the Reader's Digest version, the elevator story about the show before we begin our questions. Mr. Milstein.
Thank you, Jay. The play, Fort Dix the Musical, was written, will be directed and produced by myself, and it is not about Fort Dix, the army camp, it's about Fort Dix, the prison camp. A lot of people do not know that on the property in Fort Dix, New Jersey, there is a prison camp. And a camp is different from a prison in that there are no bars on windows or barbed wire gates. And we follow a individual who gets arrested for income tax evasion, sentenced to 2 years in prison camp. And we follow the legal system and we see how bad and corrupt it is. And then when David Barnes, who is the star in the show, goes to camp, we follow him through mess hall, the gym, education, a lot of the things that you see in here every day, and you find that the system is corrupt. And what we are doing, we are making fun of the system.
Well, there you go. Orange is the new black on stage. Excellent. All right, Mr. Milstein, we have with us some brilliant interns from Broadway's Town Hall, and each one is going to ask you a quick question regarding the theater, regarding the show, regarding you.
Hello.
Hi, Linda.
How
Nice
are
to
you?
meet you.
Nice to meet you. My name is Amanda Kavaja, and I will be asking you a couple questions.
Okay.
One of which, what inspired you to become a playwright?
Well, all my life I've been an accountant, which is a very boring type of business. And I come into contact with a lot of people, and I have a very good comedic mind. Larry David and Mel Brooks are the two muses that I like to think about. And I just started writing comedy, and from there it just mushroomed.
Great, great. I really think that your work is very amusing to watch, especially the musical, A Prison Camp. That's no ordinary idea. Where do your ideas come from?
I got my ideas from talking with people that were in the system and the things that they came across, and I said, sounds good, why don't we make fun of it? And that's how I came to write it.
Amazing, I love that.
And just so you know that the play has 20 songs that I wrote myself, someone else is doing the music, and we're doing it to good themes that everybody can sing and enjoy.
Keep up the good work, Jeffrey.
Thank you. A pleasure.
Already got us laughing just watching some of the auditions. You wrote the songs, you wrote the book, you wrote the whole works. Now let's have some more questions regarding the arts.
Hey.
Hi.
I'm Marissa.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Okay, so I have some questions for you. If you want to give advice to someone who want to work like you,
The best advice I could give is to try and be acceptable to rejection. This business is 98% rejection. And you have to say, okay, if you learn from the audition or whatever it is that you're doing, it is not a rejection. It's part of the learning process. You have to pay your dues. Paying your dues is going to auditions as many as you can. Some you'll get, some you won't get. And as long as you learn, it's not losing.
yeah, that's great. And another question is, if you had another choice, like for example, sometimes you cannot choose what you want. What would be a second career if you had a chance?
Well, I started this career about 8-9 years ago, and I've been an accountant ever since I got out of school in years. I probably wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't do this earlier in my career because the money was not there yet. The best way to make money, you have to get into Screen Actors Guild or Actors Equity. That's where you make money. But until then, We do community theater, you do auditions, you do commercials, you do everything you can until the right break comes along. And sometimes it's not how good you are, it's what they're looking for. If you're tall, they're looking for a tall person, you're in.
Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
Sage advice, that's for sure. Sage advice. Okay.
Hi.
Hi. Nice to meet you, Alexa.
So when writing a play, there's a lot of obstacles and issues that come into the way. So has there ever been a moment where you wanted to give up or just grab the piece?
Yes. When you're writing a play and your mind will go blank and you're going, I'm sitting here and I can't figure out what to do. Well, I do things differently from some other playwrights. I write all my plays in longhand on yellow paper, and then I transcribe it into the computer and I edit my own work as I'm doing it. And I did another play called So You Think You're God, and on the train going home from New York to New Jersey, one scene I didn't like, and all of a sudden it came to me how to change it. And I changed it, and it's one of the best scenes in the show. So you get your inspiration from anywhere.
So another question I have is, what kind of questions do you ask yourself when writing a play?
What do I find funny is my biggest question. If I like it, you should like it. And what I usually do when I finish a play, because I've been writing this play since '06, so it's like 12 years in the making, okay? Because you do rewrites as you go along, because my original was not like it is now. So as you do it, you say, okay, is it funny? You have a table read, which means people just reading without actually acting or moving around, or blocking as we call it. And there were scenes where I knew it was funny. I didn't get a single laugh. So I said, you know what? It's funny to me, but not to the audience. Now I have to change it. So I change it. And you have people read it. And if other people are reading it and enjoying it, and my best critic is my wife. Because if she finds it funny, then it's good to go.
I love musicals, so I can't wait to see
It's going to be fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
And finally,
Hi, my name is Veronica.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I had two questions, but one you already answered.
Oh, okay.
So the first question was, what was happening, or like when you first got the idea of writing this play? Like, what were you doing? What was happening?
I was probably walking, or just doing regular work for clients as an accountant, and I started talking to people that had been in the system. And when somebody's in the system, they don't tell you they're in the system, because it's not a badge of courage to be incarcerated for anything. Okay, so I wound up speaking to different people, and I got to know them, and I asked them the question, and some said yes. So I went with what they said, started writing, and then it comes to you. And what I tell people who like to write, and when they say they don't have the time, I say spend a half an hour a day. That half hour becomes 3 hours before you know it. Because when your creative juices start flowing, you just write. You can always edit it. And I also keep a pad by the bedside in case I have a thought. I write it down. Problem is, when I look at it in the morning, it's just squiggly lines. So it's not really good to do that. But some people find it good.
And the second question was, how long did it take you from the beginning to the...
Well, as I said earlier, I started in '06. I put it down for about a year, picked it up, started rewriting it, did it again a couple of times. Still wasn't good enough. Because if it doesn't pass my muster, I'm not going to do it. I'm doing another play now called, right now the title is Dinner, but it was about when we went to dinner with another couple. And I said, you know what? You can make a lot of jokes out of that. A lot of the things I do are sight gags, which means not verbal. You just look at it and you know you're going to laugh. So that's a sight gag. Okay? Very nice. Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Pleasure.
the last question is what I'm going to ask of your wife.
Uh-oh. I'm in trouble now.
No, I just said.
What's it like being the wife of a playwright? Okay, the wife of an accountant. Okay. Now you're the wife of a playwright.
You're not putting me in there. You're not putting me in there. I'm telling you.
There's your answer.
No.
Okay then.
I'll answer the question for
If
you.
I knew this was gonna happen, I would have won something.
My wife is
Fix my
a
hair.
very good critic because when I find something funny and she doesn't, I'll change it. Because she knows what's good out there, what people are gonna like. And being married this year, 50 years, it's an accomplishment. She's put up with a lot of my stuff, and we've got along very well because I can't hear a lot of things that she says. In fact, when we were married 3 years, I thought I was losing my hearing. Went to the doctor, there was nothing wrong, and the doctor said, try to figure out when you can't hear things. Okay, we did. Every time my wife opened her mouth, my hearing went off.
That's not a joke.
And that's
That
not a
happened.
joke. That is a true story.
It happened.
But I find comedy in a lot of things. And I'm very quick-minded. I won't do stand-up because I don't do stand-up. I like sit-down. So this is where I act.
That's great. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you very much. And here's to Fort Dix, the musical.